Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's doing good today. Thanks for tuning back in, and hopefully we can get through this video without being interrupted by a dump truck or a crotch rocket motorcycle or airplane or some loud Charger or Challenger running by. I've actually had to start this video 3 times because it's been so loud here lately, so I'm ready to move out in the country. But anyway, guys, we're going to have a little discussion today. I'm going to be talking about something that, non-lure technique, non-fishing technique application. And I want to have a discussion about fear, how it affects your fishing, how it affects your life. And, a lot of these tips I do, I can only gauge how well they're received by how many people watch them on my YouTube channel. And one thing that I've noticed is that some of the videos that I do that I really know is not going, it's going to help you maybe catch some more fish, but it's not going to make you become like an awesome angler and have a big leap in your success. Some of those videos, do a lot better. But if I do a video like I'm talking about today on something, on a topic that's not directly related to lure modification, those videos don't get many views. And that's so backwards, because these are the type of videos that I'm talking about today that is the most important thing in your fishing, in my opinion. I'm going to try to keep putting out 1 or 2 a week on them. And specifically today, guys, I want to have a conversation about fear. And I'd like to be able to have a conversation about fear on how it affects not only your fishing, but your personal life as well, because I've learned so much about human emotion from fishing professionally for 35 years that it goes over to your personal life as well. And a lot of that, I've learned so much about fear and what causes it and how it affects people through fishing. Maybe one day I'll be able to maybe have a different channel, a second channel, and talk about those things, but I'm going to keep it today sort of specifically towards fishing. And fear is like, it's a debilitating emotion, whether it be in your personal life or your fishing. And it's basically, all negative emotions we have as humans are rooted in fear, even with our fishing too. And I want to go through and explain a little bit to it and sort of help you overcome some of the situations that maybe come up out on the water that make you fearful, that you may not even realize it. First of all, people handle fear differently. Every person does, again, in fishing or their personal life. And a lot of it has to do with, sort of how they were raised, their background, how they're made up as a person, their belief systems, their how connected somebody is with reality and science and the factual world we live in, or how much somebody lives in a world of delusion. There's a lot of different aspects that go with that. But in fishing particularly, I want to gear this more towards the competitive aspect of it, because if you're just fishing for fun and you're just fishing for relaxation, fear doesn't come into play near like it does as a competitive angler. But if you're a competitive angler, and especially as you get more into the competition and get into higher level competitions where there's more at stake on the line, that is when fear becomes a real part of anybody's, season that they have. And there's a lot of different ways that you can look at that, and how you can basically learn how to overcome it. And first of all, fear, so much of it comes from the lack of scarcity. It doesn't matter. It can be a financial scarcity. It can be a lot of different variables on there, but that's basically the root element of it. It's a fear that's based in scarcity. And in tournament fishing, it really is affected by what you have on the line in the tournament in that particular situation. For example, let me give you the prime fear-based, fear-generated situation. Let's say you're a struggling tournament angler that you want to, be successful in the sport, and maybe you don't have a lot of money. Maybe every single tournament, it's important that you do well every single tournament. And if you don't do good in a tournament, you may not be able to pay your mortgage. You might not even be able to make it to the next tournament or whatever. Just to some level like that, you've got some financial pressure. In fishing, financial pressure is what creates so much of the fear. If you're loaded and you're one of those dudes out there that drives a $75,000 jacked up pickup, and has got a family business. You don't really know what fear is as far as from a financial standpoint. But, if you're one of those guys out there that has 2 young kids at home, and, you struggle to make ends meet, and, you want to be successful in fishing so much, what fear is as far as, being able to overcome that. And what happens if you're one of those anglers that are in that situation where you got a lot on the line, a lot of pressure for you to perform? Fear is your biggest enemy in that performance, because let's say, for example, if you say it's the last tournament of the year and you got to do well in this tournament to make the championship in order to qualify for it, or maybe you're in position to win a tournament. It's the last day of the tournament and you're in position to win, but you've also got to do good to make a check, to finish in the top 10. You've got a performance type stressor involved. And say it's 12 o'clock, it's rolling around, and you've got 1 fish in the boat, and you've got to catch a limit to accomplish your goal. So what happens is, a lot of times when you're in that situation and the clock is ticking and you have to catch a limit, and say you're catching them on a big fish pattern, say you're fishing a big swim bait and you've been leading the tournament, or you positioned yourself to make a big comeback out of 50th place in the points to qualify for the championship by going for these big fish, and then that last day of the tournament it's slow. You maybe got 1 or 2 fish in the boat. You got to get 3 more fish in order to accomplish your goal. And at that point, a lot of times fear sets in about midday because you don't got them, and you drop what you've been doing and you pick up a shaky head just trying to catch 3 fish to put in the boat. When you do that, you're letting fear control your day. And when you let fear control your day, you take yourself out of position to win any tournament, or to really make those quantum leaps and to elevate your career through, just exceptional performance. If you didn't have that fear, say for example, let's take the opposite situation. Say you're in one of those situations where you have a chance to win the tournament and you don't have any financial worries. You've got a family that supports you, a family that's got a big business and they're loaded, and you don't have to worry about where your next mortgage payment's coming from. It's easy to keep throwing that big swim bait. It's easy to, tie on that 8-inch swim bait and fling it all afternoon, because if you don't catch another fish on it, it's not any big deal. You're still going to be able to pay your mortgage, and you're still going to be able to put food on the table. So an angler like that does not understand what fear is, and how fear debilitates somebody, and how fear, takes away your edge. But if you're one of those anglers that are in that situation, you know all about that. What fear does to you is fear takes away your rational thinking. It's like anytime somebody is consumed by fear, it doesn't matter if it's fishing related, or if it doesn't matter if it's in life in general. Anytime somebody is fearful about a situation, it's because a lot of times they don't see the facts clearly. They see the situation through a colored lens that maybe not the way it really is. And it's the same in fishing with that. It's like when you let fear motivate you, and if you let fear take over, it cuts off your ability to make rational decisions. It cuts off your ability to make good decisions based upon fact, based upon science, based upon logic, based upon critical thinking skills. And you fall into this rut, and you continue to make a series of poor decisions. I have never seen in my entire life when somebody makes a decision out of fear, whether it be in fishing, whether it be in their personal life, that it turns out good for them. It never does. It always usually winds up, manifesting that whatever that fear is going to be. And particularly in fishing, it's like, if you get out there and you succumb to the fact that, you're scared that you may not catch a limit, and that you may catch, you may only bring in 2 fish, you know what's going to happen? Because I see it all the time. It's going to be 12:30, and you're going to pick up that Ned rig or that shaky head, and you're going to catch 3 12.5 inchers. You're going to have your limit, and you're going to come in there and you're not going to make a check with it. And people people do that all the time. I see people operate out of fear all the time on a tournament level like that. It's the same with, it's the same with your approach to fishing too, because a lot of times people let fear of the elements take them out of the situation. I've seen a lot of people that are scared to make a 60 mile run if it's windy and the waves are going to be big. Or, I've seen a lot of people scared about running over a mud flat that's a quarter mile long that they might get stuck. So, some of those fears are, based upon reality, and some of those fears are based upon, they're not based in reality. They're based upon some factors that don't really have anything to do with it. So anyway, my biggest advice I wanted to give everybody when you're talking about fear and you're fishing out there is just take a deep breath and just relax, and don't make any harsh, immediate decisions. If you're in a situation where all of a sudden you feel like you're getting stressed out and you feel like you're breathing shallow, and you guys know what I'm talking about, you've got that pit in your stomach that you feel like you got a lot of anxiety, the best thing to do is just stop fishing, even if it's in the tournament. Sit down on the floor of the boat, or you just sit down in your boat, look at the situation, eat a sandwich, take some, drink a drink, just kick back for 5 or 10 minutes and assess the situation and approach the situation from a logical, critical thinking perspective, and give yourself a couple different options. Tell yourself, if we go back to that scenario I talked about before, tell yourself, okay, it's noon, I've got 2 fish in the boat, they just seem like they're not biting this. I can either stay with it and hopefully I get 3 more of the right bites, or I know that I can go over to that set of bridge pilings over there and catch 3 keeper Kentuckys and fill my limit out. At that point, you have to ask yourself, okay, what is that going to do for me? If I give in to fear and go over to where I know I can catch a limit, is that going to do me any good? Is that going to put me to where I need to be? Or what's going to happen if I continue to throw this big swim bait and I don't get another bite? Or what's going to happen if I throw the big swim bait and I catch a 5-pounder and 2 4-pounders the last 2 hours and I accomplish my goals? So you have, in bass fishing, it's all about risk versus reward. And one thing I can tell you guys right off the bat, if you fish conservatively and you fish to protect whatever you think you're protecting, you're never gonna achieve greatness in the sport. And that's why in my career, I've always been up and down. I've had the most inconsistent career of anybody out there. I've had years where, I've won tournaments, I've made the money in 10 tournaments in a row, and then I've had years where I didn't make a check for 7 tournaments in a row. I've had days where I catch 23 pounds one day and catch 1 fish the next day. And that's because the way that I like to fish, I don't like to fish, from a point of fear. And every single time that I've let fear take over my career in fishing, it goes the opposite direction. There's been several situations in my career where I needed to make the Bassmaster Classic, or I needed to make a check in the tournament to be able to afford to get to the next one, or I know what it's like to be under financial crunch. And I gave into that. I gave into the fear of not doing well in the tournament to put myself in a position to maybe catch some fish just to bail myself out. And it never works out. It never does. And what happens is once you allow fear to overcome the way that you approach your day on the water, it's almost like an addiction. It's like you give into that easier and easier, because every moment that you're out there that you're not catching one, you're focusing on, am I going to be able to do this next year? Am I going to lose a sponsor? Am I going to, not be able to pay the bills? I mean, that is what causes people to make poor decisions from the perspective of fear. And my advice on this, I'll just give you guys a straightforward reality of the situation. If you're in a situation as an angler where your performance causes so much stress and anxiety in your fishing that it affects the way that you approach your time on the water, you probably need to think seriously about getting out of the sport, because it's not good for you. It's not good for your mental and physical well-being. It's not good for the mental and physical well-being of the people around you. And that's unfortunate, because so much of that stress and so much of the fear in fishing is centered around the financial aspect of it. I've been on both sides of it, guys. I've been in situations where I've been struggling like you can't believe, and I've been in situations where I've had huge windfall profits, and you know, I had lots of money. I've been in everything in between. And I can tell you right now is when you're in those situations where you're struggling financially, it's not good, man. It's really not good, and it's really hard to not fish from a perspective and a reality based in fear. So anyway, just wanted to throw out there a little bit, guys. You know, it's hopefully you can take away something from that a little bit. Like I said, if I can leave you guys with one thing as far as not letting fear affect yourself on the water, it's just chill out, relax, take a deep breath, and realize it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if you don't catch them. It's not the end of the world if you have to quit tournament fishing. It'll be okay. I mean, it'll in the big picture, everything's going to be just fine. So, man, those dang dump trucks they're building a school down the road here, and guys, it's non-stop dump trucks that for the last 2 months been coming by the house here. So sorry for those interruptions, but anyway, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed that a little bit more. Throw me some ideas out, man. If you guys want some more ideas on these off-the-wall topics, let me know, and we'll be back soon with another one. And one more thing, please subscribe if you haven't, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Be much appreciated. It's a great way to support the channel if you like what I'm doing here, and be much appreciated. See y'all.